the same time, I am releasing new work right now this year, and I have a bunch of like new stuff planned for 2024. Yeah, so Wallgrin is my, I guess I call it like experimental art pop music. I've been doing music as Wallgrin for about like 10 years now, mostly in Canada. And this time I'll be traveling with a band over to Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. Yeah, it's really exciting to return after a couple years. I mean, I guess it's like in the form of like pop music, definitely like alternative pop music, but with a lot of like experimental leanings. And I have influences from when I was a teenager. Like at university, I studied like experimental electronic music and stuff like that. So there's all those kinds of things blended in to the project. I started it just about 10 years ago, kind of when I was in university, because I just wanted a kind of way, a format where I could express my musical ideas. I don't know, I went to like a more like classical kind of music school, but there was a big part of me that just wanted to write like pop music. And so it just kind of became a combination of that and being able to kind of express that part of myself that I wasn't really able to express at school. And then it just kind of has evolved from there, and I've kept doing it, and it's like my entire life now. I guess I just wanted something that would feel like me, my own name, but that had like an element of like separation from it. So like a blurring of lines, but still something that could feel like very much its own entity. And so that I can do like other stuff under my personal full name, and that can just be like its own thing. But Wallgrin is its distinct project. Yet Again, the Wheel Turns, my album, I released it in October 2022. And it was so kind of like, the tail end of pandemic stuff. And, the album itself was heavily like delayed because of that, because of all these pandemic related things that just made it hard to finish the album when I wanted to. Now I feel like I'm kind of just playing catch up a little bit, and this will be the first time since the album has been released that I'll be in Europe touring. So it's kind of like a little late, but finally like the release tour for this album in a lot of ways. But at the same time, I am releasing new work right now this year. I have a bunch of like new stuff planned for 2024. I'm kind of starting to move on from Yet Again the Wheel Turns, but just because of the circumstances under which it was released, it's still kind of what I'm playing and what I'm touring. Yet Again the Wheel Turns, it was born out of a lot of kind of me just thinking a lot about different like time scales. A lot of the songs have to do with like time and reincarnation, rebirth, and kind of like things happening all at once or happening in cycles. And yeah, everything was written around those themes. And the last music video for the song At Rest on the album that I just released, I think really encapsulates what the entire album is about. It was directed by my friend Sarah Genge, and we made it very much like as a film, like a short film. We wanted it to feel very cinematic, very like emotional and evocative, and really like take time. Like it's a very slow song in itself, so it lends itself to that more easily. But we wanted to really like dwell on a lot of the images and like kind of let them speak for themselves and trust viewer to draw their own conclusions, things like that. It's just the way that I kind of envision Wallgrin as a project. Like I don't want it to only be like just songs. I feel like it already has started going in this direction, but eventually will even more so go in the direction of like visual art and film, and just kind of be an all-encompassing kind of world building kind of thing. Yeah, I think it was received fairly well, like within Canada. It's a very small release. I think it reached the people it needed to reach, and I'm hoping to kind of bring it a little farther now, even though I have to like get a plane ticket from Vancouver to Europe, and that's its own expense. Once we're in Europe, it's actually like more affordable to tour. We might be driving like 1 or 2 hours a day instead of like 9 or 12 hours a day in Canada. And all the venues have accommodation for us, where in Canada, they don't usually include that. So it's all these kinds of little details like that it just makes it much more welcoming to tour in Europe, even though I'm from so far away. Like, I love where I live. If you're a touring artist, it does make it quite challenging to travel. I'm really excited that I figured it out. We're bringing a band, and it'll be really, really fun to be able to play these songs for people, you know, in kind of the way they were intended to be played, rather than just like me with like a tiny synthesizer playing them in this very like quiet, moody way. The songs can exist in many forms, but really like they're more high energy like band music. Because I did this a similar tour 2 years ago, I was just by myself. If I was going to do it again, it had to be like there had to be something that was a bit like more elevated about it on my end, like about what I was bringing. Bringing a band was just like the next step. I think it'll be really fun for everybody. Yeah, so I just earlier this month. Definitely the release date has to do with the tour coming up for sure. And also just the fact that I realized like I hadn't released new Wallgrin music in like since the last album. So I was just kind of like itching to, I don't know, have something else out in the world that was a little closer to like the stuff that I'm really like working on these days. I've written like recently, I just recorded it in my own home studio. I actually got my own dad to play the trumpet on it, which was really cool because he's never recorded anything in his life. It was like a fun new experience for both of us to kind of have that his like playing immortalized on this song, which it was really special. So that's one of the things, the new pieces that I'll be playing on tour, and there's like a number of other new things that are going to come out over the course of this year, similar to that. We are a band that I'm lucky to be working with these three musicians who they themselves are they're all so talented and advanced at their instruments. Every show is a little different. We will be playing like mostly the same songs, but they all like kind of they turn out differently every time. So far, I have one festival that I'm playing in Calgary called Sled Island in June. I'm kind of still filling out the rest of the summer with festivals, but hopefully I'll be doing some more little festivals in Canada and stuff.